Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, rainbow flags in classrooms and unisex signs in bathrooms. It has some asking, what's going on with the CDC? Critics charge the Centers for Disease Control is promoting a social agenda that could turn America's classrooms into laboratories for gender ideology.
We might notice boys in girls' locker rooms or boys playing in girls' sports. That's just the very tiny tip of the iceberg of what is actually in store if we don't stop this thing.
Now it's former Vice-President Mike Pence who had classified documents in his possession after leaving office. We'll have his reaction to this unexpected discovery and what other politicians are saying. A warning to Jews in America. They're in danger as they're being targeted with religious hate crimes.
You got Saturday Night Live normalizing anti-Semitism. You got NBA players, full-blown anti-Semites. What has to happen? Jews being beaten up in the streets?
We'll hear why an Israeli journalist is telling American Jews, leave the country now. Our Studio 5 conversation with Grammy Award-winning singer and songwriter Dante Bowe, talking about his unexpected split from the group he helped to create, Maverick City Music, and what he's gone through since.
You know, God oftentimes prepares us for the journey, and I feel like everything I've gone through and everything I'm going through it's important.
And this priest took a terrifying journey to hell.
One of the things that I saw that just blew me away was there's a man on all fours like a dog. He was burned from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet, and his eyes were bulging out.
We'll hear what else he saw, why he went there, and why he won't be going back. Those stories for you today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin with the controversy over the Centers for Disease Control. The CDC claiming its latest tools help LGBTQ students are meant to make schools more inclusive, but others warn the agency is going too far, and some are warning parents to find out what's going on in their children's schools. Charlene Aaron is on the story.
According to the CDC, its LGBTQ Inclusivity in Schools, a self-assessment tool, aims to help schools increase support for those students. One of the bigger questions surrounding this move is how does it contribute to the agency's mission of helping families, businesses, and communities fight disease and stay strong? The self-assessment document, which the CDC says is voluntary, is posted on the agency's website. It encourages educators to display rainbow flags in classrooms and unisex signs in bathrooms, and urges teachers incorporate LGBTQ content in their lessons, use of student-preferred pronouns, and attendance at LGBTQ trainings. Jay Richards serves as director of the DeVos Center for Life, Religion, and Family at the Heritage Foundation. He maintains this call falls outside the scope of the agency's role as a public health entity.
So we have the Center for Disease Control pushing materials which essentially denies the reality of sex and instead offers a replacement ideology called gender ideology. I don't think people necessarily realize how profound and radical that is.
Attorney Mary Rice Hassan with the Ethics and Public Policy Center fears the move could create an atmosphere harmful to staff and students who believe it violates their religious beliefs and conscience.
This really oversteps the boundary of both what schools should be doing, but certainly what the government should be doing, forcing, in a sense, because of the implicit pressure, they say it's voluntary, but really they're putting coercion on anyone who has anything to do with the schools.
Something she warns could be a goal of organizations associated with the tool and promoting the LGBTQ movement.
It conditions kids to start questioning the most basic element about who they are, male or female. And then it includes in this assessment tool the encouragement to refer children outside the school to receive services that are going to support their self-defined sexuality or gender identity.
In a statement, the CDC responded that LGBTQ plus students experience severely higher levels of violence, bullying, and suicidal thoughts and behaviors than other students. CDC and partners developed this tool as an optional resource for school administrators and staff who are interested in better supporting LGBTQ plus youth. Please note these are not guidelines, and use is voluntary. Richards says the tool's ties to activist groups is especially troubling.
The links to activist groups like the Human Rights Campaign and some even more radical than that, I think, shows the real nature of what we're dealing with here. It's not as if this is hiding in plain sight. It's not hiding at all.
He encourages concerned parents to find out what's happening in their kids' schools and to speak up.
We might notice boys in girls' locker rooms or boys playing in girls' sports. That's just the very tiny tip of the iceberg of what is actually in store if we don't stop this thing.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
I want to turn now to Washington, where there's a new wrinkle in the ongoing controversy over classified documents, as the lawyer for former Vice President Mike Pence says a small number of them was discovered at his home in Indiana last week. Pence launched the search for the documents proactively. He has since turned them over to the National Archives. CBN's Jenna Browder brings us that story now from Washington.
The discovery of classified documents at former Vice President Mike Pence's home has lawmakers asking questions about the executive branch's ability to properly protect the nation's secrets.
Kind of thought, holy heck. And I do wonder, how many other foreigners?
Obviously, there's a systemic problem in the executive branch. Clearly, there's a process involved here that's not working.
This after attorneys for Pence announced they turned over what they call a small number of documents with classified markings at Pence's Indiana home. Last fall, he told the media he didn't have any.
Let me ask you, as we sit here in your home office in Indiana, did you take any classified documents with you from the White House?
I did not.
Pence's lawyers insist he was not aware of these documents, adding that once they were found, he immediately secured them in a locked safe and contacted the National Archives. 3 days later, FBI agents arrived at his house to collect them. Pence reportedly launched the search proactively after classified documents were found at President Biden's Delaware home. That makes 2 presidents and 1 vice president who all had classified documents at their homes. Former President Trump brought hundreds of documents to Mar-a-Lago. And classified material was found at President Biden's Delaware home and former private office in Washington. Inside Elections' Nathan Gonzalez told CBN's Faith Nation there's a difference in the way the cases were handled.
In the case of Pence, the documents are found. Pence said, take them. And with Biden, his lawyers found them. They said, here, we're going to give these back. When they were found or thought to be, when Trump had them, the FBI had to come get them because he didn't hand them over.
Both Biden and Trump face special counsel investigations. The DOJ is still reviewing the Pence case. Those documents mostly came from his official residence at the Naval Observatory, where packing was handled by military aides. Other material reportedly came from a West Wing office drawer. As for former administrations, former Vice President Dick Cheney and former Presidents George W. Bush, Obama, and Clinton, they all say they appropriately handled classified materials. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Coming up, a warning to Jews living in America. They are in danger. We're going to find out why and who's urging them to flee this nation when we come back. Stay with us. And welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Jews living in America today are more in danger than ever. The FBI reports more than 60% of religious hate crimes in the United States targets Jews, even though they make up less than 2.5% of the population. That's why one Israeli journalist is telling American Jews to get out now. Paul Strand reports.
Hillel Fuld usually follows and advises Israel's high-tech industry. Recently, though, he waded into heavier matters with a column entitled American Jews Get Out Now. He wrote it because of the rising tide of anti-Semitism and his desire for his Jewish friends in the U.S. to read the writing on the wall.
Since I'm a little kid, having grandparents who survived Auschwitz, I've always struggled with the question, why didn't they get out, right? Nuremberg laws. These guys, full-blown, anti-Semitism, mainstream society in Europe, the Jews just stuck around. And I asked myself, why didn't they read the writing on the wall? What had to happen? And I never understood it. I always struggled with that. And then I look at America right now. You got full-blown pop artists, Kanye West, going full-blown anti-Semite. You got Saturday Night Live normalizing anti-Semitism. You got NBA players, full-blown anti-Semites. What has to happen? Jews being beaten up in the streets? Done. It's done. But what has to happen for the Jews to say, all right, enough is enough. This is not our home. Now, we always grew up saying never again. Obviously, the Holocaust can never happen again. And the truth is, it could never happen again because we have Israel. But American Jews, I think they're not looking at history. I think they're maybe ignoring, what went on throughout the Jewish, history from the Spanish Inquisition to the pogroms to the Holocaust. We got too comfortable.
And Fold's frustration is that this attitude remains, although Jews are being physically assaulted in a number of American cities.
I see it pretty much every day on my Facebook feeds, every day. And like that. Yeah, I mean, literally last night, a friend of mine on Twitter, she said she was walking with her family in the street, and some African-American came over and said, oh, we're gonna kill all you Jews. And everyone stood around watching this thing, yelling in her face, cursing her kids and everything. People stood around watching. Nobody said a word, nobody did a thing. The whole thing, listen, really, the whole thing doesn't make any sense because, the Jews are like statistically non-existent. We're so small, right? 20% of all Nobel Prizes were given to Jews. Do you know that? 20%. I mean, there's something remarkable about the Jewish people. I don't think anyone would debate that. We survived and the Romans didn't and the Greeks didn't and the Nazis didn't. We're here, right? But there is this, I don't know. I mean, I can tell you my theory of why anti-Semitism exists, but there is this just historic thing that just keeps showing its ugly face every generation. And again, it's unfortunate that Jews forget history. I mean, look at Germany. You don't have to think about 300 years. I'm talking about Germany, 80 years ago. I mean, they were comfortable until they weren't.
Fold says the solution is for Jews to leave and head for Israel. Those outside Israel, however, might be under the impression its Jewish population constantly lives in fear of terror attacks.
First of all, I don't know if you know, but my older brother was murdered in a terrorist attack. So I know it firsthand, okay? I'm not, every life that's lost is an entire world. Having said that, we have to look at the grand scheme of things. Take a step back. There has never been a 75-year period. Listen to this statistics, it's phenomenal. It's just fascinating. There's never been a 75-year period since the destruction of the temple that there were so few Jews killed in the world. So again, every life that's lost to terrorism is a horrible tragedy, but in the grand scheme of things, this country's defending us. Whereas there, we're at the mercy of everyone else, and we know how that turns out. So, yeah, I think it is significantly safer here. And I'm not belittling. There is terror, but in the grand scheme of things, it's in our hands. This is our home. I heard someone say, in America, you can succeed despite being a Jew. In Israel, you succeed because you're a Jew. And to me, that's what it comes down to. And by the way, someone recently said to me, they moved to Israel, he said, not because I'm a Zionist, but because I'm a capitalist, which is amazing, because this is where it's all going on in terms of technology and innovation. So, we're living the dream. It's never been this good for the Jewish people, and I'm proud to live here. I'm a big talker. My parents brought me here. I didn't make a decision. I want to believe that had he not brought me here, I would have come myself. But in America, it's scary. It's scary times.
Still ahead, our Studio 5 conversation with Grammy Award-winning singer and songwriter Dante Bowe. We're going to hear what he has to say about his split from Maverick City Music, what he's been doing musically since then, and why he says it's all part of God's plan. We've got that story for you when we come back. Stay with us. Dante Bowe is a Grammy Award-winning multi-platinum singer and songwriter who now has his own record label. It comes after his unceremonious split from the group he helped to create, Maverick City Music, and after making history as the first artist to have simultaneous Grammy nominations in both gospel and Christian genres. After a pause, Dante Bowe is ready to take a bow and press play.
Woke up to the summer shining through, calling on my friends asking what's the move.
How are you? Let's begin there.
Hi, I'm good. I'm good.
I ain't gonna let no clouds get in my way. The only road I'm walking is the one I pick.
I mean, it's been an incredible journey the last few months. So I feel healthier than ever, better than ever, brighter than ever. Feel closer to God. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm gonna wait on you. I'm gonna wait on you.
I think we all woke up surprised when Maverick City announces they're pausing their relationship with you.
I'm gonna wait on you. Yeah, I've tasted your goodness.
What were you thinking when that was announced?
That's a good question.
Well, you've always been true, so I'm gonna wait on you. Yeah.
God's gonna use people and things to catapult you into your next step. And so I don't think it was like something that shouldn't have happened. I think it should have happened because now I have this incredible team. I've rebuilt, my infrastructure with the most incredible people and the most incredible producer, John, who's helped me release, Hide Me and this entire album, Press Play. And I don't think that would have happened if, just certain things didn't occur. The trials are not in vain. Nothing is wasted. Nothing's in vain.
The right, the wrongs, the in-betweens. Help me know for sure things do get better.
For someone like you, I know you've endured so much from family loss, abuse, homelessness. I don't know if you can even compare the trying times. Were you going through and looking back at that? What was happening?
You know, God oftentimes prepares us for the journey, and I feel like everything I've gone through and everything I'm going through is it's important. You know, it's very, very relevant to my destiny and my future and my purpose. In those dark seasons is when you really see the light, and when you really get revelation and new vision and new strategy and new approaches to life. So I think, you know, it's just a part of growth.
Under your shadow, under your wing, hide me, hide me, hide me, cover me.
Pause, press play. The first single from that is Hide Me.
Hide Me.
Released in Times Square.
Yes, can you believe that?
Good Morning America.
That's right. He is back now. He's going to debut his new song, Hide Me.
Under your shadow.
How did all of that come about in that song? What gave birth to it?
Yeah, me and my producer, John Webb, who I call my angel, because in that dark season, John was knocking on my door because I wasn't answering any phone calls, right? And he was knocking on my door, and he came in and we just talking, and he's like, let's go up to the studio. And so we immediately started recording. Didn't know an album would come out of it, but that's the plan of God, you know? It's like God's plan, you know? It's not our will, his will. It was just natural. John started playing that beat, and the first thing I thought of was, you know, I'm under the shadow of the Almighty, you know what I mean? I'm under his wing, and there is safety there. And I think this entire season has been me under the shadow of the Almighty. I felt so hidden, so protected, and close to him. And I think a lot of people would think I felt, you know, a little, you know, down or out or, you know, depressed even maybe. But I really felt very protected by the Lord in this season of my life.
What do you think it was that allowed you to feel that way? So protected in that time?
I don't necessarily know. I just feel like I never shut the door on God. I kept the door wide open because I need him more in those seasons than even I need him, you know, when I'm just on the mountaintop, you know what I mean? I always need him, but I just think I ran to him, you know, faster. You know, I wanted more of Jesus when I went through that, you know what I mean? And I think that's the point of it all. Sometimes, you know, those things happen so we can draw near, right? And so I felt very, very close to him in that season. And also just the team he put around me, I felt so blessed. My friends were with me the entire time. I mean, it was really a fabulous time. Like, I felt really, really blessed. And how can you not run to him after, you know, feeling so overwhelmed by his presence and his blessings?
You're my everything.
How does it feel to be standing? I know you've got a team, to be standing alone. So you look to your right now, you look to your left, there's no Maverick City, there's no Bethel music, it's Dante.
Yeah, you know, it feels really, really good. I love Maverick and I love Bethel music. I mean, they've done so much for me and we're still friends to this day. I've always had support, but I just think, you know, different things are necessary for the next journey. It is God's plan, and we're trying to do it right.
Dante won his first Dove Award for one of his last solo singles, Joyful, and he is the first artist to have his song chart on both Billboard's Gospel Airplay and Christian Song charts. His new album and his new label, it's a personal label, one he created called True Music, and his new project is called Press Play. We've got more from Dante on tonight's edition of Studio 5, along with singer Katie Nicole and country music singer and actor Granger Smith. You can catch Studio 5 on the CBN News Channel tonight at 8:30 Eastern. You can also find it on the CBN News app as well as YouTube. Coming up, a priest who died and went to hell. He's telling his horrifying story and the things he saw there. We're going to have that story for you when we come back. Stay with us. A Michigan priest is going viral after claiming in a series of online videos that he died and went to hell in 2016. He says, quote, "Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy." Pastor Gerald Johnson says he felt like he was having a heart attack, and to his surprise, he went down to hell instead of up to heaven. And he says what he saw there was undescribable.
There's a man on all fours like a dog. He was burned from the crown of his head to the soles of his feet, and his eyes were bulging out. And what was worse than that is that he had a chain around his neck. So he was like a dog in hell. And what was even worse than that is that who was holding the chain. It was a demon holding the chain. And I knew, because things are they're not said, they're known. It's like a telepathic communication. I knew that this demon was sent in this man's life to ride him from his childhood until the time that he died, because the demon knew that if I could stay in his life long enough on the earth, if I can keep getting him to not serve God and to make bad decisions on the earth, then I'll have power over him in hell, and he'll be a slave to me.
Johnson said the Lord explained to him why he ended up in hell, and the pastor also discusses why he won't be going back.
The thing that I had in my heart was unforgiveness towards people who had did me wrong. Because a person that can't forgive is a person that's forgotten how much they have been forgiven of. So that's my experience with hell. Hell is a real place, and I don't believe that God doesn't send people to hell. People send themselves to hell. I thank God for the light. It was Jesus, because of that light, I won't see any more days in hell.
And you can read the full story, including more about the Lord's word to him about unforgiveness and what else he saw in hell, by visiting cbnnews.com. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's words are this: hold on. I speak them to you and encourage you to share them with others. Hold on. The trial you face is temporary. Better times are on the other side. Say it with me: there is greater later. With that truth, I encourage you to hold on, hold on, hold on. It will get better. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find those things online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us. The address is right there at the bottom of your screen. That's newswatch@cbn.com. We certainly would love to hear from you. You can also connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We look forward to connecting with you. Thank you again for watching. We hope you'll join us again right back here next time. Make it a wonderful Wednesday and have a great week as well. We'll see you tomorrow.